Hello, I'm Don Cunningham, President and CEO of the Lehigh Valley Economic Development Corporation, and welcome to the 2021 Northampton County State of the County Address by County Executive Lamont McClure. LVEDC is a public-private coalition, a nonprofit that works with our government leaders and our large employers and our educational institutions to advance economic growth and job creation across the Lehigh Valley. Northampton County is one of our core partners. We work together to try to create good jobs for family-sustaining wages across Northampton County. Last year was obviously a challenging year with the ramifications of the COVID pandemic. LVEDC and our county leaders spent much of the year helping folks with the health issues challenging our region. Also, with the hospitality, restaurant, and visitation sectors that were shut down due to COVID. Northampton County was also a huge help in bringing in CARES Act money to support regional organizations like LVEDC, the Chamber of Commerce, Discover Lehigh Valley, and Arts Quest. Despite the challenges, we had another record year of economic growth across Northampton County. Once again, manufacturing is our second leading industry in the region. We've added several new manufacturers to the county, and we ended up the county year with a net increase in jobs. We couldn't do this without the coalition of partners across the Lehigh Valley that make it all possible. And we couldn't provide this State of the County address without sponsorship. I want to personally thank our gold sponsors this year, BSI, Corporate Benefits, Workforce Board, Lehigh Valley, the Lehigh Valley International Airport, and our presenting sponsor, Gross McGinley Law Firm. Gross McGinley's Deputy Managing Partner, Lauren Spezial, is an LVEDC board member, and she is here to introduce County Executive Lamont McClure. Lauren?
Thank you, Don. I'm Lauren Spezial, an LVEDC board member and attorney at Gross McGinley, a multi-service law firm with offices in Lehigh, Carbon, and Northampton counties. Thank you to LVEDC for organizing this event. What a year we've been through. So much has happened, so much has changed, and it's unlikely our region will ever be the same as it was before 2020. But what an exciting opportunity before us to see and do things differently. I've been really encouraged watching communities of the Lehigh Valley working together and supporting each other as we navigate this new space we're living in. Here in Northampton County, we are fortunate to have leaders like Lamont McClure at the helm. A lifelong Pennsylvania resident, Lamont has made a career of making a difference and placing his energy where it's needed most, providing services for the most vulnerable people, protecting land for future generations, and keeping our communities safe and strong. Recently, he has helped award local businesses COVID-19 grants, establish free COVID-19 testing sites, and combat homelessness in our area. In addition, he champions thought diversity and is not afraid to learn from his mistakes. He is a husband and a father and has been a faithful community servant for nearly 15 years. As a proud resident of Northampton County, it is my pleasure to introduce County Executive Lamont McClure.
I'm glad to have the chance to speak with you today about the great things we're doing in Northampton County. In 2020, I was denied that opportunity. This last year has introduced a lot of challenges into everyone's life, starting with the worst pandemic the world has seen in 102 years. Tropical Storm Isaias, a jittery stock market, a record-breaking snowstorm, some of the largest protests since the 1960s, and a historic high-turnout election. Northampton County didn't have to contend with murder hornets, thankfully. Those confine themselves to the Pacific Northwest. But we continue to battle against the spotted lanternfly, one of the most damaging invasive species to Pennsylvania in decades. While 2020 was not a good year, I think we can all agree it won't be forgotten anytime soon. And most importantly, despite all its difficulties, it didn't stop us from rising to the challenge and continuing to make progress. I want to thank all of our medical professionals, frontline workers, and first responders for all their efforts this past year to keep us safe. I also want to recognize our county employees who adapted quickly to CDC recommendations and worked tirelessly, continuing to serve the people of Northampton County while developing new programs and protocols to respond to a changing world. As someone once said, there are no hard times for good ideas, And thanks to the dedicated workforce we have in Northampton County, I've had a lot of good ideas to take advantage of. First, I want to acknowledge our Department of Fiscal Affairs, which, for the past 3 years, has put together a budget with no tax increases. Since 2019, we've decreased expenditures by 17% through investment in technology, increased efficiencies, reduced travel, and by negotiating new contracts with vendors. But we haven't cut funds to preserve open space, farmland, and environmentally sensitive areas. We've increased them. Over my 3 years in office, we've put $12 million towards making sure our county retains its agricultural heritage, so our grandchildren will have the opportunity to buy strawberries and pumpkins from local farmers, hunt in healthy forests, and fish in clean waters. And preserving land is our best option to combat warehouse proliferation. We've preserved 216 farms covering 17,666 acres. And as long as I'm county executive, we will continue to expand this program. I've often said the future of Northampton County is green, and one of the many lessons the pandemic taught us is the value of our recreational areas. During lockdowns, parks and trails were one of the few places residents and their families could go to relax and exercise. Northampton County acquired 2 additional properties last year, one in Williams Township and the other in Upper Mount Bethel, bringing our total number of parks to 20. We also began the rehabilitation of the Norbath Trail and reopened Mincy Lake to the public following the completion of the new dam. Every year in the Lehigh Valley, an estimated $351 million is spent in outdoor recreation, which is why we've prioritized linking our vast network of trails and increasing number of parks. Our green spaces aren't just good for the environment, they're a critical driver of our economy. COVID-19 taught us that the virus didn't just affect our lives, it also threatened our livelihoods. Working with the Department of Community and Economic Development, Northampton County acted quickly to protect public health and mitigate the effects of the pandemic on our small businesses, especially those in the hospitality industry. Understanding that testing was the key to preventing transmission, we set up 2 COVID-19 drive-through centers, first at Easton Hospital and now at our current site at Coordinated Health in Bethlehem Township. There's nothing like a pandemic to show you the value of our small businesses. I know I miss eating out at my favorite restaurant, and last spring I started looking pretty shaggy when my barber had to close down. Local shops might be small, but they are a critical driver of our economy. That's why out of the $26.7 million Northampton County received from the CARES Act, we created a small business grant fund, giving gyms, florists, auto parts stores, and other small businesses up to $15,000 to help cover payroll, rent, and other operating expenses. In 2020, we helped 767 small businesses with these grants. Many owners got in touch with me to describe 2020 as the worst year in their company's history. More than a few admitted that they had been on the verge of having to close until the grant came through. That's why in 2021, I'm planning on putting another $10 million from the American Rescue Plan into this program again. We need our small businesses to stay afloat until the pandemic ends and the economy begins to improve. I encourage everyone to support small businesses by shopping local. The pandemic won't last forever, but its economic impacts will be extended if we have to rebuild our shops, stores, and services from scratch. So please support them now so they can serve us later. I'm sure parents of school-aged children are aware that during lockdowns, academic success requires reliable access to the internet. Using $650,000 in funds from the CARES Act, DCD put together funding for broadband for K-12 students and veterans. Every school district in our county received grants so they could purchase hotspots for students who didn't have internet access at home, as well as software for teachers to use with remote instruction. Internet access hasn't just been crucial for veterans and K-12 students. Our older residents have also suffered this past year, suffered from being isolated in their homes, cut off from their friends and families. Area Agency on Aging had to close our senior centers due to the severe risk COVID-19 posed to those 65 and up. To help their clients stay connected, AAA established a tablet lending program so seniors could attend exercise programs and wellness education, in addition to socializing with each other. For those who aren't comfortable with computers, AAA is now running a call center on Friday mornings to set up vaccine appointments. And for those who don't drive, the county has worked out an agreement with Lanta for free trips to and from vaccine appointments through Atlanta's Share Ride Seniors program. Seniors are an essential part of our community, and I consider Graysdale Nursing Home to be one of the jewels of Northampton County and of pivotal importance for protecting our most vulnerable citizens. As long as I am county executive, Graysdale will remain under county control. Graysdale, like most other long-term care facilities, took the brunt of the COVID-19 pandemic. At one point in the United States, 40% of the COVID-19 deaths were in nursing homes. I want to thank our Director of Human Services and the administration at Graysdale for all they did to contain the virus. Graysdale was the first nursing home in Pennsylvania to close down to volunteers and visitors, and the first to install a negative pressure ward to isolate those who were infected. I am very grateful for the dedication and integrity of our staff who came to work day after day to care for those who were sick with a novel virus. Every life lost is a tragedy. But never forget that if it weren't for those frontline workers willing to risk their own lives and health to protect the most vulnerable among us, things could have been much, much worse. That's why when the vaccine became available, we offered a $750 incentive to employees to get the shot. As of now, 87% of our residents and 48% of our staff have received the vaccine, 10 points higher than the national average. Graysdale has also benefited from a program which we put in place before the start of the pandemic, the Mental Health and Aging Program. We believe this to be the first program of its kind. In 2019, the county contracted with Haven House to offer one-on-one counseling and support to address behavioral changes for residents suffering from trauma, depression, or anxiety. And we've found this approach benefited not only the residents and their family members, but also staff by decreasing crisis calls, inpatient hospitalizations, and involuntary commitments. Having the counselors on site has been a godsend to this pandemic where everyone's mental health has been affected. The work of our Department of Human Services is critical to the health and well-being of our most vulnerable. I am extremely impressed by all the initiatives DHS has put forth over the last year to protect and serve children, the disabled, and the elderly. Director Susan Wondolowski and DHS have expanded our recovery centers on treatment options for those struggling with abuse. Children, Youth, and Families is developing a decision aid tool to improve screenings of child abuse and neglect referrals. And this year, DHS will form a loss team to assist friends and families who have been struck by the tragedy of suicide. Another important public health advancement we made in 2020 was the county's first forensic center. Until now, our coroner's office had been forced to beg space from hospitals and other facilities to do autopsies on homicide victims and struggled to find secure space to store evidence from crime scenes. Having our own forensic center ensures that dead will be treated with dignity and our professionals will have the tools and space they need to do their very important jobs. Infrastructure is a critical factor for success in any community. I'm very pleased with everything our Public Works Department has managed to get done during 2020. Not only did they complete the Forensic Center, but they increased parking around the Government Center, made improvements to pedestrian safety, and made progress on bridge repairs around the county. Running a prison isn't easy in any year. Running a prison during a pandemic is a different challenge. I want to commend our Department of Corrections staff for all their work this past year. Like Graysdale, the Northampton County Prison closed early to volunteers and visitors and took steps to keep both the staff and their residents safe. I want to thank the District Attorney's Office, the courts, and the Public Defender's Office for working with us to furlough nonviolent offenders. Once we're able to get a majority of people vaccinated, these folks will return to serve the remainder of their sentence. But for now, lowering the population helped keep cases of coronavirus at the jail low. While the facility had an increase in November and December, the administration was able to get it back under control quickly through testing, increased cleaning protocols, and wearing masks. That is a lesson we should all take to heart. While we wait to get our COVID-19 vaccine, we should continue to take those actions which have been proven to prevent transmission of the virus. Wear our masks, wash our hands frequently, and stay 6 feet apart when out in public. The sooner we can return to socializing with each other safely, the better off we'll all be. One of the biggest responsibilities of any county is running an election. Interest was high in 2020 and so was participation. High participation is something to be celebrated, but due to Act 77 allowing for no excuse mail-in balloting and a pandemic, our election staff had to scramble to hold 2 elections at the same time. manning 154 polling stations and counting almost 74,000 mail-in ballots on the same day at the same time. In 2020, Northampton County once again affirmed its reputation as a bellwether. In over a century, the voters in Northampton County have only been out of step with the nation's choice for president on 3 occasions. So the pressure was on, and I'm pleased to report that our staff, volunteers, and election day workers did an exemplary job of putting on a fair, legal, and accurate election. In November, we were the first county in the Commonwealth to report our unofficial results, which we published at 6 a.m. Our democracy gets stronger the more citizens participate in it. I encourage everyone to vote in this year's elections and to feel secure in knowing that the election staff of Northampton County will protect your access to the ballot box and make sure their votes are securely counted. This has been a hard year and it may not be over yet. However, I know if we persevere, we will overcome the ravages of COVID-19 and we will return to our lives where we spend our weekends at Iron Pigs games or at Music Fest or at a farm show. You cannot truly appreciate what it is to stand in the sun until you've spent some time crawling through the shadows. The last year had a lot of shadows, but it had a few bright spots as well. If we keep making progress, protecting our citizens, and working to build a more equitable society, I believe there'll be more sunny days ahead. Thank you to LVEDC for hosting and sponsoring. Gross McGinley, BSI Corporate Benefits, Workforce Board, and ABE Airport. We thank them all.
Relationships are, well, everything. If you're searching for a personal or professional attorney, Gross McGinley is a multi-service law firm serving the Greater Lehigh Valley's legal needs for over 45 years. Starting a new relationship can be intimidating. Rest assured, we've built our reputation on trust. And with more than 30 attorneys practicing nearly every area of law, work with us and you'll have a relationship for life. Gross McGinley. Strong relationships, extraordinary outlooks. Your trusted counsel.